Okay, this video is about staining, and before you stain your project, which is what stain looks like, it's the coloring of the wood as opposed to being raw wood. Okay, before you stain it, you should have your project sanded so it is free of pencil marks, machine marks, and rough surfaces. Before you stain it, you should have it inspected by Mr. Stamp to make sure that it's ready to go, and then you can go ahead and do your staining. Okay? Alright, let's go. Okay, this video is about staining your project. If you look at this CD tower, it is raw wood. Okay? No stain, just raw wood. If you look at this clock has been stained. Okay? What stain does is it brings out the grain pattern of the wood. It changes the color slightly. This is kind of a golden oak, and once again you can see that this one is raw wood, no stain. Okay? Basically what we want to do is, when we stain these, is we want to be on top of the cardboard. Do you need something? Okay, when we stain, we can get a rag out of this coffee can right here. Basically, you just take your rag and you'll kind of fold it up, kind of like this. And one more time, and maybe over one more. So you got a rag that looks something like this. Okay, when we stain, we like to try and do the hard parts first. So on this CD tower, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over and we're going to stain the insides first and the undersides. So we just take our stain, our rag, dip it in. We're not going to get a ton on there, just a little bit, and then we'll start staining the undersides of the shelves. You want to get in the corners really well so the stain is covering every square inch. Okay, now when you just start with a clean rag, it takes a little bit to get the rag saturated with stain. So as you get more stain on it, you won't have to dip it as often. So we're just kind of getting it started here. Once I get the shelves done, I'm going to lay it down and do the insides of the sides. Okay? As you can see, I'm going pretty quick. It's going pretty fast. It doesn't take a ton of time. It doesn't have to take a ton of time. Now, before you stain, you should have all of your, once again, I'm just going to put a little stain on here. You should have all your pencil lines off, and you should have everything sanded so it's nice and smooth. Okay? Let's do the other side. And I'm just going to go to the outsides. I would do the entire insides, bottoms, tops, everything, and then I'd come to the outsides. Now the outsides are what you really want to look good because they're going to be seen all the time. So as you can see, just getting it on nice and even. Doesn't take a ton of stain on your rag. Just enough to coat the material. You want to get it over every square inch that you have on these projects, so there's no spots without stain. Okay, and once again, the outside is the most critical part because that's what's going to show the most. Okay? Alright, so let's do a little bit more here. Okay? Now, once you've got it all stained, you want to take a clean rag. Let's take a clean rag and let's just kind of wipe it down and make sure that you've got all your excess stain off of here so that it is nice and even colored, and there's not blotchiness. You don't want blotchiness, and you want it to look really, really good. So we want to make sure we get all the excess stain off. Another thing you want to remember is this stuff, if you get it on your clothes, it will not come off of your clothes. Okay? So if it gets on your clothes, it stains. That's why they call it stain. Okay? So make sure that you don't get it on your clothes, or you're wearing something that doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of do a little more staining on the inside, and I'll show you what the color looks like in a couple seconds. Now it doesn't matter what your project is, you got to cover everything. The bottom and the backs don't matter. On like the back of the wall shelf doesn't matter, the bottoms of the clocks, the bottoms of the CD tower really don't matter. So let's just take a quick look at how this turned out. Looks pretty good, not too bad. Now this wood was a little darker on this project, so it came out a little darker. Now normally if we were doing a project at home, we would probably put something called polyurethane on this, which would be a plastic coating. It's another material, it's one step beyond what we're doing here. The problem is we don't have an exhaust system or a ventilation system to take care of the fumes that would be put out by the polyurethane. And polyurethane is like a varnish type material that coats and seals the material so water can't damage the surface. If we were to get water on this surface without polyurethane on it or varnish, it would stain the surface and discolor it. So if you want to do that at home, you can do that at home, but we're not going to do it here. Okay, so that's staining. All right? Okay, let's do this.